Hi there, I'm doing another knee action review. These are reviews done right after watching the movie, so I don't even have time to think about it. Um, Today's review, and keep in mind, I try not to do spoilers, but there might be spoilers. We'll see how it goes, but I always give that warning that I'm going to talk about the movie, so if you don't like spoilers, you may want to forego it. But today's movie, I watched finally Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Now, I was alive in the 80s, and you got to understand that in the 80s, the Ninja Turtles did something that nothing had ever done before, and that was become a product for everything. And I mean, there were times you could walk down, in fact, there were whole like aisles in the grocery store where everything was Ninja Turtles. And everything was based on the cartoon Ninja Turtles. Um, I never read the comics. I've seen excerpts from the comics. Um, the comics, I guess, were darker and grittier and more violent. The cartoons, I've seen some recently, and they didn't hold up too well. The animation was horrible. The stories are horrible. They really are for kids. Um, just oh man, the animation was horrible. And the one I watched, excuse me, the one I watched, Rocksteady and Bebop like changed sizes. Once in one scene they're as big as the turtles, in the other scenes they're towering over the turtles. The animation was horrible, but these things took the world by storm. And if you weren't alive in the 80s, there's nothing since then. I mean, I thinking, and I can't think of anything since then that did what Ninja Turtles did in the 80s. And I was like on the very early wave of this. One of the things that became big in the 80s was the Garfield. Garfield with suckers on its paws, and you'd put them on the window of your car. And I got a Michelangelo, and I actually got this overseas, and I put it in the window of my car, and everyone kept asking me, "What the hell is that?" I said, "It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle," and no one had ever heard of it. And within probably 2 years of that, everybody knew everything there was to know about Ninja Turtles. There were just, oh my God, I mean, you couldn't escape it. There were whole aisles in the store that were Ninja Turtles, and I'm not even making that up. Um, but it's all, oops, sorry about that. It's all very crazy. And so these movies, the recent movies, well, first we go into the first live action movies. They were actually done with animatronics. This is before the age of CGI, so there were puppets and puppeteers. Um, the story, I kind of liked them. Um, of course, like I said, I was in the 80s. Everyone saw these cartoons, and then the movies came out, and there was a lot of action. They were dark and gritty, and the first movie was very sad. When April watched that whole scene where April watched her home burn down, and it's reflected in the glass, and she's looking through the reflection. I mean, they were very deep. I liked them. I liked them a lot. Um, the really disappointing part was they come up with two monsters. They used a snapping turtle and a wolf, I think, and everyone was like, "What the heck? Why not use Rocksteady and Bebop?" And that was like the biggest disappointment of all those movies. But I guess there was a licensing issue, so they couldn't use Rocksteady and Bebop. So they went with a snapping turtle and a wolf, and of course they filled the parts of Rocksteady and Bebop. They fought the battles, and I still to this day, there's a scene where Shredder, like, he wants them to create havoc in the part of town. He says, "Go play," and he does this hand movement. And I still, to me, this day, I still think of that when I'm with the kids in the park. I'll be like, "Go play," and so yeah, the movies, they were kind of iconic. And the thing about the movies was, no one ever thought something as silly as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles could ever be live action, and they did it. And now, this new came out. The new, I forget which year the first one came out, but everyone first was criticizing because they had nostrils and they had noses, and I guess the backstory was going to change. In the earlier scripts, there were actually going to be aliens, and the whole backstory of the turtles was going to change. There was a big uproar, and oh, don't change our childhood and all this stuff. The first movie, I don't know. I guess I kind of enjoyed it. But the second movie, and that's what I just watched, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I don't know. I would have to give it mixed reviews. I mean, on the one hand, they stayed true to the cartoon version and not so much the comic book version, not so much other versions, but to the 80s cartoon version. You know, they had the big garbage truck that shot manhole covers. They had Rocksteady and Bebop finally, and they kind of acted the way you wanted them to act. They acted the way they did in the cartoons. They had Baxter Stockman, and he was a silly character. And Shredder just wasn't menacing in this movie. There was no battles between ninjas. And one of the cool things about the first live action movie was, man, there was ninja action. There were sword fights and ninja fights and the big fight on the rooftop, and even Shredder got into it just a tiny bit and used a move. And it was ninja action. And this movie, there, where was the ninja action? I can think of, I think they used the swords once. They used nunchucks. They had like robotic nunchucks. Raph used a sai once, I think, when on the side of the aircraft. But it's like, oh, well, the staff. I guess the staff was used in the airplane, but the staff was a different kind of staff. It had like electronics on the end of it. So it's just like, yeah, they each used their weapon once. They each got to be turtles once. They all went into their shells in the waterfall scene. But there was no real action, and the Shredder wasn't. I love Shredder's costume in this one. I do. And the knives that come out like Wolverine, and it's very menacing. And I like the actor who did that and the costume. I like that Shredder. And in the end, poof, he was frozen, and that was it. There was no. Shredder didn't get to do anything, and the Turtles didn't get to do anything. There was no big fight, and everything was like cerebral. Okay, let's foil this plan, let's foil this plan, let's do this, let's do that. And it's like, I don't know, it's just there was no thrill. And I think that about sums it up for this movie. Now, watching, I'm sure I've seen every single episode of the cartoon, and they were, I know the backstories and the little things that come up, and the cartoons introduce a lot of characters and stuff, and characters of their own, and some of those kind of made glimpses in here. But this, I don't know. I didn't like how the turtle cave was like a circus. It was all lit up with monitors and lights, and I don't know. And then technology that was far beyond. Of course, it's a cartoonish show, so the technology, just like an Iron Man, all these 3D computer graphics. And then the inside of the turtle van was just all decked out. I just didn't care for that. It wasn't. I don't know. But the turtles, like in the cartoons and stuff, everything they did was stuff that people had thrown out, and that's why, I did like Donatello's big thing with all the monitors. You see each monitor was a different size and different brand, and yeah, okay, that looks like something everyone threw out. That looks like Donatello's thing, but then like the rest of the cave looked like that. And there were a couple scenes where they were practicing a little bit, but the first movie, man, the practicing scenes were awesome. I mean, they were doing moves like I will never hope to do. I felt Casey Jones was really, because in the cartoon, Casey Jones can do anything, with any kind of sporting goods. And the movie really brought that up. The first live action movie, I love that case. That's how I picture Casey Jones, kind of this scrawny, long-haired loser, but you put a club in it, anything, a cricket bat. He did a golf club at one time, the hockey stick, the baseball bat. And then he could just go to town with those. But in this one, it was only hockey. It was only, I guess that's truer to the comic book and not the cartoon, but He only did hockey, and everyone knew who he was. In the cartoon, he was always masked. No one really knew who he was. Um, but I don't know. Even him, there was no looking up to him. There was no. He wasn't a hero. And the Turtles, they were just kind of going through the motions. And I just felt this movie was weak on action. It was just kind of a story. They did introduce things that everyone wanted to see. Everyone wanted to see Krang in the Technodrome, and we got to catch a glimpse of that. But Krang shut Shredder down without a fight, and I don't know. Yeah, the Turtles fought him at the end, but it was kind of a one-sided fight, and the fight was only a distraction while something else was going on. And having April and I can't remember the cameraman's name, but the way they broke into the office and dispatched, I think her name is Tria something, Shredder's right-hand man. It was nothing. That should have been a kick-ass fight, with blood and bruises and action and things smashing, but she gets hit with a tray and gets knocked out. And I'm like, boo, that doesn't happen. That shouldn't have happened that way. I don't know, this movie had everything you ever wanted in the cartoon. Krang was just very cartoonish, very silly alien. But everything was just dispatched very easily. Oh, let's take this and throw it over here, and that'll distract the Technodrome, and it just all happened too easily. At no point was there a thrill, and I think that was the downfall of the movie. It had everything you wanted to see in the cartoon. It had Rocksteady, when Rocksteady charged up the cars and was like just throwing the cars to the side. That was a good scene. That's what we wanted to see. Was the charging rhino. What else? I think what's her name? Samantha Fox. I think she was too pretty of an April O'Neil. I don't know. She did act like a tough reporter, but I don't know. She's just too pretty to play that part. Again, things you wanted to see from the cartoon. Krang was very much like Krang, and the robot guy, because in the cartoon the robot guy had a human head, and you could see the human head inside the robot. I thought that was cool, but just the way every challenge was just like, oh, let's do this, oh, we're done, okay, oh, let's do this, oh, we're done, okay. Nothing was ever hard won. Everything was like handed to them. Everything was just, let's do this, and oh, we've succeeded, even though it didn't happen the way we wanted to. I don't know. Casey Jones was weak. It seemed like you were watching a bad episode of the cartoon, and everything was watered down because the censors wanted it that way. Except for April's scene at the beginning, and I'm watching that scene, and I'm going, holy crap! And I'm like, keep in mind, this is a kids movie, and here's April putting on this schoolgirl outfit. But anyway, yeah, kind of what you wanted in a turtle movie, but then lacking what you wanted in a turtle movie. And I think that is what sums it up the best. And I'm going to give it a halfway. I'll give it like 5 stars out of 10. And if you watch my videos, you know that I don't really have a rating system, so I make it up. But 5 stars out of 10, or 50 thumbs up out of 100. Halfway there. They got the look right, well, mostly right. They had all the elements that an 80s child, and I wasn't a child in the 80s, I had a family and kids, but I still saw every episode of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So it had every element you wanted to see from the cartoon into a live action show, but it just lacked everything else. It just, I don't know, it just, and it was good to be a kids movie. The Baxter Stockman was kind of silly, Krang was kind of silly, but not menacing. And to have Krang like not be that menacing, and have Shredder should have been his threat, and then Shredder was just like boom, gone. I don't know, it just, again, watered down. So everything you wanted to see, but not enough of what you wanted to see. I think that sums it up. That's my review of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I watched it on Hulu, I believe. It's streaming on Hulu. I watched it just a few minutes ago. What else can I say about it? I would watch it as maybe if you're doing the dishes and you need some noise, if you have a TV in your kitchen. I don't know. Not a date movie. Kind of a movie you might want to watch with your friends who are at the same age you were in the 80s. But yeah, so that's my review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Out of the Shadows on Hulu, I believe. Halfway. 5 stars out of 10, 50 out of 100. What's another good halfway? Like 4 out of 8, I guess. And that's my review, and have a good night, and I hope you enjoy my other videos and also my books on Amazon. Thank you.